Hello, welcome back here. We're going to have a conversation about honesty today. Honesty on the spiritual path. And what I'm doing here is I'm dropping some very, very basic concept videos here over the next few days. My wife Cindy and I are on a Caribbean cruise as we speak, and I'm pre-recording some videos to continue to pop in there and continue to show up here on this channel because it benefits everything that lives, which is a true statement. All spiritual practice benefits everything that lives. So, again, as I've often said, the most important offering that you could ever give is your spiritual practice. It is. It is your dedication and commitment to practice that is the highest form of offering you could ever give anyone, anywhere. It benefits every living thing throughout space and time, which, as we see here, are complete illusions anyway, past, present, future. So, whatever it is that you do in the world, keep coming back to your spiritual practice. And to the extent that this series of videos helps you, great. Keep coming back to them and tell your friends. That too. Okay, so let's take a look at honesty here, because it often comes up in the course of our discussions that spirituality is for grown-ups. I'm fond of saying it. It is. It's for grown-ups. It's not child's play, especially this course. And if you've been doing this course, or if you're familiar with it, you'll know that it's definitely not child's play. Happily. This is an adult endeavor. Now, why do I persist in saying that? Well, it's for grown-ups because what we do when we're serious about what this life refers to as spiritual practice, right? This tradition of prayers, of meditations, of practice exercises in this thing called the workbook for students, for example. Things that we read, things that we say, that we pray, that we practice, all of this that we call spirituality has as its purpose setting aside illusion, disidentifying with the ego, disidentifying with this false sense of separation from God, which is impossible. It's impossible, but we wanted to believe that it's possible, and we want to believe it right now. So we run off and do everything but wake up. The path, as we call it here in the world of awakening, is about setting the ego aside. So how do we do it? Well, we end up having to be very honest with ourselves, because this requires that we look at everything that we have wrought, which understandably we sometimes, or maybe all the time, don't want to do. We'd prefer to bury it. What happens when we bury it? Well, it resurfaces in a different way, on a different day, in a different form, perhaps in the guise of another person. So we can learn the lesson of true forgiveness for this particular thing again, because we didn't learn it the first time. We get another opportunity. You could see it that way. However, these opportunities often come across as painful slaps in the face. They come across as uncomfortable. So here in the study and practice of A Course in Miracles, we're invited to take every single one of these opportunities that we become aware of. It's point we'll come back to in a minute, that we become aware of to forgive. Anything that is not wholly joyous, we forgive. We forgive what appear to be outward appearances, people, events, situations, governments, political parties. We forgive what appears to be outside. What's really going on is we're forgiving ourselves. There is nothing or anyone out there. There is only perfect oneness. When you forgive yourself. When you condemn and blame, again, you condemn and blame yourself. That is simply the way it is, but we could choose to deny it rather than take a look at it. And the spiritual path is about being a grown-up and looking at it. Here in A Course in Miracles, this is a practice that we undertake under the guidance of our inner teacher. We are literally not alone. There is no separation of any kind. You can't be alone, cut off and separate from anything or anyone, including God, who, by the way, is all there is. I know you know that. Whether you've heard it from me or from this course or someone else, I know you know that. We all know this. You could certainly deny that you know it. No problem. I feel some of the wheels spinning, and that's perfectly normal, isn't it? The ego will resist with everything it appears to have. Appears. Emphasis on appears. It's nothing. It does not exist. We're in the process of awaking from a dream. We're setting the ego aside. So in so doing, we take a look at all of our crap, all of our drama that we've wanted to bury. We allow it to rise when it's supposed to arise, because that's an opportunity for us to forgive and release it. When we learn a forgiveness lesson, we do not need to repeat it. It's kind of like passing a test in school. If you've got a sequential curriculum and one course is a prerequisite for another course, once you pass the prereq, you don't need to repeat it. Once you pass a lesson and successfully complete a lesson, you don't have to repeat it. It's like that. So it's about having the determination, frankly, and the courage to be honest, deeply honest with ourselves, and being willing to take a look at all of our drama as it arises in our experience, as it comes up, because it is an opportunity for us to forgive and release, forgive and release. All of the things that come up in the world, including the world itself, including the body, all of this is actually in our mind. Yeah, you're that powerful. You'll hear that again from me, and hopefully from many others as well. Sincerely, you are that powerful. So, all of this is in our mind. It's illusion because it's not God. It changes. Obviously, this changes. Look, I didn't have these when I was 12. I mean, this doesn't last forever. And neither does anything around us, including spinning ball of rock itself. That doesn't last forever. So we're invited here to continue to do the work of true forgiveness, because when something comes up for us, we're invited to see it as an opportunity. It's coming up for a reason. It's time for us to forgive and release it. Anything that is not wholly joyous. So everything that we see here in the world is symbolic. It's a symbol. Anything painful symbolizes our unconscious guilt. And whether we care to admit it or not, we feel tremendous, buried, unconscious guilt for this supposed separation, which never took place. Yet we're harboring this unconscious guilt, and it shows up in our experience in the form of people that say nasty things, of nasty bosses, of chintzy corporate hierarchy structures, of abusive people in the world, of someone dumping on social media just because they can, and it really annoying you, or worse. All of these things, anything that is not wholly joyous, is symbolic of our unconscious guilt. What deep buried part? Doesn't matter. We have our inner teacher to whom we release all of this. We forgive the outward appearance and we release the situation to our inner teacher. We forgive ourselves for dreaming it and let the Holy Spirit handle it. He'll deal with the unconscious guilt. He clears it from our mind. Once a lesson is learned, it does not need to be repeated. This saves time and leads to awakening. That's how it works. How quickly you do this is largely up to you. In fact, right now, in the present moment, you could choose to listen to the voice for God, our inner teacher, instead of the ego. You could, and I hope that you do. The more you do, the more unconscious guilt you clear. That's the veil between us and reality, this veil that we've thrown up that is completely insubstantial, by the way. It doesn't exist, but we've made it real to ourselves. So we unmake it. This is how we unmake it. Anything, because this world is a symbol, there are many beautiful things in the world, like a beautiful sunset or a beautiful tropical waterfall or a puppy, something cute, baby animals that are all cuddly and cute and make you want to love them. And then you kind of secretly hope they don't accidentally scratch you with their claws or nip at you in their total excitement and joy, right? There are things out there that appear to be out there. They're not out there. They're all in our mind, but they are beautiful. Take the sunset. That's symbolic of our radiance. How about that? It's symbolic of our radiance, of our abundance, of our limitlessness as Christ. A puppy, symbolic of our joy, of our love as Christ. We are the Christ, the Son of God, God's creation. The word Christ is often used only in reference to the historical Jesus. That is a limitation that I invite you to completely wipe away. You are the Christ. I am the Christ. The Christ, singular, is the creation of God. There is a lot of magnitude in this. There's a lot of power in it that we're invited to allow to be just as it is. When we ask for truth, when we ask for the vision of Christ, we're simply asking for what belongs to us. So along the way, it is incumbent on us, it's imperative that we take to heart the message that in order to wake up, we've got to be perfectly honest with ourselves. We recently spent some time on the subject of a colossal waste of energy, the most enormous waste of energy of which we're even capable, appear to be capable. It's denying truth. What a waste of energy and time. The very thing that we decry in the world, don't we? We don't want anyone else to waste our time. We don't want ourselves to waste our time. Yet what do? We waste our time. Waste. Complete waste. Except for your loving thoughts, except for your forgiveness of the Son of God. That is the only thing that can even be said to be real here in this gaggle of illusions. I mean, there's just lots of illusion here. And it's all illusion. It's all insubstantial. None of it's there. Only our loving thoughts can truly be said to exist here. So when we have nothing but loving thoughts, that's what's referred to in A Course in Miracles as the real world, not the game show from MTV, if you remember that, from the 90s. And 2000s, I think it continued on. Anyway, the real world is the world that's totally forgiven, totally benign, defenseless, loving, and that is very quickly exchanged for knowledge, the knowledge of God, awakening, in other words. We must attain or see the real world in order to awaken, which happens automatically. Truth dawns automatically at that point by itself. It's said here in the Course, God takes the final step himself. Yeah, that's what happens. Once we learn to perceive truly, truth dawns of itself, instantaneously and automatically. So in order to reach this point, which appears here in the world to be a linear progression, we have got to be very, very honest with ourselves and day to day, moment to moment, if need be, reality check. Am I allowing truth to be just as it is, or am I carried away? And when, not if, but when you notice yourself carried away, bring your awareness back to forgiveness of the Son of God, or bring your awareness back to your relationship with the inner teacher. You all might have a phrase that you say that serves as an anchor, much as the breath serves in an anchor in a traditional seated meditation. Life is exactly like that. It is a living, breathing, waking meditation, and you could choose to see it that way. And when you notice yourself carried away by your cell phone, your social media feed, or something nasty that someone's saying that you just can't help but pay close attention to. Why? I don't really know. All of that. Bring your awareness back when you notice yourself carried away. This is honesty. It's a form of being really, really honest with yourself. Oops, I'm distracted. Bring your awareness back. Oops, oh, that was weird. Bring your awareness back. Every time you can and must. There are many ways that you can be deeply honest with yourself here on the spiritual path. Okay, so let's wrap up with that. I thank you, as always, for tuning in and for joining me. And I would like to throw out there that if you have a particular topic or a question from A Course in Miracles or from spirituality in general that you would like to see covered here on this series of videos, please let me know that. I would be happy to work that conversation in. Okay. Thank you, as always, for joining me. If you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do that. The subscription arrow is here in the corner of your screen. So go ahead and click that. Join us. There are several videos that appear each week, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for joining.